prejudge me and they call me that I'm from Northeast. I'm not from Northeast of India. I'm from Tibet. So these kind of socio-cultural contexts which are important and which are critical for us to understand, जो student की identity को कहीं ना कहीं mark करते हैं, experiences which mark the identity of that student. I think we need to know all those factors which are there. Educational theories, I don't want all of us to get into the details of it, but it will be amazing if we get to know certain educational theories which talk about how the learning and personality issues are diverse with the students in higher education, and how these can be nurtured by educating through our interaction. We often think that, oh, I'm doing mathematics, how can I nurture the personality of a child, of a student? But trust me, we all can do that. There is a lot of literature available on this, that the way teacher approaches the student, the way teacher, the kind of atmosphere which is being created in the students, with the students in the classroom, is something which can really have exemplary results in learning of that particular thing. So maybe we think that we don't need it, the elaborate understanding, we don't want to do a research on this, but still understanding of the educational theories could be of immense importance and help for us. State, what does state mean here? So state means the political state. I mean the state of India is what we mean by here. And the state of India here means that the kind of policies which are there for higher education, the kind of provisions that we have for students in higher education, how my state looks at an undergrad student is something which is important for me to understand. So if there are different kind of educational and vocational programs for these students, I must know this, so that if abruptly somebody asks me that what do I need to do, I can say, okay, I don't have to know the details of this programs, but I should have, okay, you can approach that portal, you can approach that teacher in the school, in the college, and then we can figure this out. State would also help us understand that what kind of provisions needs to be provided, what are the policies with regard to higher education and things like that. So I think it's very important for us to understand the student, uh, all the three segments of the students. We'll have two more slides to discuss about the students. This one is also very important. We see student as a singular identity, and we see that, okay, so Vandana, you are a student. Okay, great. But this Vandana doesn't come to an economics class like Vandana. The Vandana is coming to your economics class with a lot of baggage attached to it. The kind of lived experiences that she has had with her in her life. What is Vandana's self concept? Has she accomplished something in the past? Has she never accomplished anything in the past? Did she have any experiences related to abuse of any kind, physical, mental abuse? So Vandana's self concept is kind of exemplifies by all these experiences that she may have. So when she comes to my classroom, she brings with herself this entire idea of her self concept also. What are my community experiences? Supposing I come from a community which is not very okay, I take the reverse example, because I actually come from a community where women education has been very high on the cards. So two generations before me have been in jobs and things like that. So I come from that kind of a community where women was never looked there was no expectation that women, what will she do, because she will do it just as anybody else. Whatever the other people do, the women will also do the same. So these kind of things will happen. So there was no kind of conversation about what subjects will you choose after 10th. Girl ho to art mein chali jao, music mein chali jao. There was no conversation of that kind. So I'm coming to I come to your class with that kind of experience, where women is not a bechari. She has always been into schools. She has been educated, and she comes from that experience. Now, if you start treating me as one of the students who has not had the advantage from the family, I always say that I come from a very privileged family, where women there was no discussion about you being women. So I think if you have that kind of a mind, oh, she's come, Okay, let me add, oh, she's bright, oh, she has come to me, oh, she must be so disadvantaged, I must sustain her. You don't have to sustain me, I will sustain on my own idea. So when I come to your classroom, I come to your classroom with a lot of community experiences also. And so please don't think about me as a token of what stereotype you have about that particular community, or in the past, if you have had a women of the same profile. Don't token me up. I may be entirely different from what I have had, because I come with my set of experiences. Kind of family support I've included in this. The kind of family support that I have or I don't have would also be very interesting. In this scenario, family support, I've come across another interesting segment of girls who generate family support as they go through it. So when they come to higher education, they do not have a family support. Then gradually, step by step, gradually, thug, they work on it. And finally, they get a family support. When they have to go for a higher degree, they are like, okay, you can go for 2 years. We will postpone your marriage or something like that. So there are girls, there are boys, not only girls. There are boys who gradually earn this support from the family also. Some would come with support, some would come without support also. Interage relationships is very important. In our educational institution, the youngest student will be the first year student, and the oldest would be, 60, 62, 65. So there are a lot of people in that age range in our institution. The student by himself has also had a lot of people in their age range. In at home, they would have people of all age range. So these kind of interage relationships also give a certain kind of understanding about our process of socialization. So these are few of the multiple dimensions of personhood which I thought are important for us as teachers when we come to the classroom. See, largely the students who come to us would have been socialized in a particular manner. There are not very many. So if you have 100 students in the class, you will not have 100 profiles in the classroom. Many of the profiles, they match. They kind of look like each other. Their experiences are like each other. But in certain cases, this kind of an understanding would be of immense importance for us. So all the students who submit their work on time, who ask certain questions at certain times, who may not ask questions, but who look like are the kind of students um, who are who are kind of settled more or less. So, but whenever you get a student in the classroom or a group of students in the classroom who are not doing work, whether you say that they are rude, whether you say they are rowdy, both the terms are different from each other. Whether you say that this student is very active in politics, whether you say any kind of tag that we have for the students, I think these are the students who need to be understood in bit more detail. We also need to understand, supposing I'm doing a, I remember having a student in the classroom who was very keen. This is grade 10th. When I was teaching as a school teacher. This boy was very keen on football, very, very keen on football. So he would come, he would do the classes, and then he would, be found in the field most of the time. When we started talking to this guy, up 10th class, he passed out, and he was to go to 11th. I had to talk to the parents. I was not the counselor, but parents came over and we had a conversation. I said, give her a subject wherein he learns, but he also has time for his football practice if he's so keen on doing a football practice. So thinking that only science, taking science in grade 11th will take him ahead is not correct at this point of time. And I was teaching in a school in a post liberation period, after the economic liberation happened in 1991 and things like that. So I was teaching in school from 93 onwards, and I was telling them, I said, there are going to be enough opportunities for all subjects to come. So please don't force this child to get into, because he was a bright kid academically also, but then he wanted to balance. So such children will come to our classrooms also. Some may want to pursue MA in that particular subject. Some may just want to try for certain competitive exams and get settled in jobs. Some others may have certain other kind of, they may just have come to our classroom by default, kahin aur admission nahi mila, acha course laga, we just dropped in. But this is not the course of my dreams, so I would want to change the first instance I get it. I think all these kind of students will come to us in our classroom. Let's just understand them, and that is why we need to have a very appropriate expectation from them. So somebody who wants to get into an MA would probably be looking at my subject very differently. But somebody who wants to get into a competitive, clear a competitive after the graduation or the post graduation will look into my subject very, very differently. And that is how their achievement levels will also vary. Their assignments will also be different, because their inspiration is very different, as related to the qualification which they're gaining in my class. So we need to kind of understand. So differentiation is the word that we need to understand. As per the need of the student, we have to create a kind of a ambience in the classroom, kind of an experience in the classroom, rather than saying that anybody who is getting 70% is not worth. These kind of sentences that we speak in our classrooms. I hope many of us don't speak, because we are all sensitized people. But if we get onto that kind of a mental barrier, that if this guy is only getting 50%, I don't know what he or she is going to do. Why are you there in my class if you're not interested in the subject? And trust me, the student will not be able to answer you that why she or he is in your classroom, because they say we just happen to be in your classroom. So we have no reason why we are here, why we are not somewhere else. So I think these kind of responses we all need to be acknowledging. Why I also realize that, why it gets very difficult for us to accommodate these kind of personalities, because mostly the college teachers are those people who have been toppers in their subject. Why would somebody do a research in a particular subject or do things like that? Because you are very intensely into that subject, you like it, so you move on, and then you become a higher education teacher because you have learned that subject at a higher education level. And that is something which is such a stereotypical depiction in our mind, that we refrain away from understanding mediocrity in the classroom. भाई इतना पेरेंट्स का पैसा लगा है, why are you not working? But we need to understand that everybody doesn't want to become a college teacher. Somebody may just want to go into a skill training, somebody may just want to be into entrepreneurship. So there are different things that people will do. Not everybody, wo sahastra buddhi, that three idiots, not everybody wants to get into higher education. People have their own aspirations, so we need to respect that thing, and create that kind of an ethos in the classroom, that no matter what you do as a teacher, I always wish you all the best in the life, but please, whatever you do it with sincerity. So the only quality I want to inculcate through my subject is sincerity and responsibility for yourself. So sincerity for what you do, what you plan in your life, and responsibility with which you plan it. Take responsibility of your action, along with that whole phrase of freedom of expression. Yeah, you are free, you're free at will, but just that freedom needs to be balanced with responsibility. So two, three things that if they become the ethos in my classroom, I think it really helps us travel an extra mileage to what I can do with the students in the classroom. And that is something which I mean by this slide when I spoke about unconditional mutual respect. So it doesn't matter whether you come to me as a B.Ed student, doesn't matter whether you become a school teacher or you don't become a school teacher. But what matters for me is whatever you plan to do in your life, you are able to do it with a lot of commitment and honesty. These are the kind of values that I want to share with you. So it is also important for us to understand. That was another part of our discussion. The next part, or the next suggestion that I would want to make is, we all must try and see, read if we haven't. I don't know if during the FDP you have had that session to read NEP as a document. I'm not subscribing it as a as a volunteer of MHRD. I'm subscribing it as a professional requirement. So let's all of us try to read, and at least even if we don't want to read the whole section, let's read the first segment of it, and then also let's read the higher education part of it. The first segment will give us an idea of what is the entire emphasis going to be. So one thing that we all need to understand is this is the futuristic projection of what education in India is going to be. We may disagree with it because we have not seen it. but gradually we will move towards it. This is something like, sustainable development goals जो सेटअप हुए, SDGs जो सेटअप हुए, बट उनको अचीव करने के लिए ये नहीं बोला कि आज सेट किए हैं तो दे विल बी अचीव टुमारो. दे सेट अ टाइम लिमिट टू 2030 for it. So this is something like a document which has come with a futuristic vision, and that is why it is important for us to read this up and understand what is going to happen in the future. The first part of the document, that is the first couple of pages, which explain the mandate of this particular policy or the soul of this policy, will tell us that what is going to be the configuration of our classrooms. And that is something which is very significant for all of us to understand. The higher education part very, very, very clearly lays emphasis on what as teachers we are expected to do. Delhi University NEP 2020 committee, the one which is the one which is constituted to implement NEP 2020, has already given as one of the suggestions that we are going to retrieve the 4-year program. Before this, UGC has told us about CBCS system of accreditations and assessments. So I think these are the kind of changing paradigms which are emerging in the entire education system. We may like it, we may don't like it. We may have a critical appraisal of that. Absolutely, we have had the critical appraisal of what was happening earlier also. So the idea is not to accept it as a thought, but the idea is to understand that this is going to be a practice in times to come, and better to be prepared for that. So this lays a lot of experiences on access. Definitely access is not perfect at this point of time, and also the quality of learning experiences across all levels of education. So I don't know, 86 policy did not have so much of emphasis on higher education. They primarily spoke about school education, but this policy speaks about education across all levels, including professional education. So I think that is why this can be seen as a larger picture, and the way, the वो जो एक puzzle होता है, the way the puzzle has been connected, the way the higher education, lower education, I mean higher education, secondary education, and early childhood education has been connected with each other. That puzzle is very interesting for us to understand. And if we do a critical examination on, we would understand that 10 years down the line, what is going to be the nature of higher education. And I think all the young faculty should better be doing that, because you will have to deal with that configuration and with those institutional ethos for a lot of time in your life, in your professional life. So it is hopeful about taking this mandate ahead with active participation of teachers. That's also very categorically mentioned across the document. So whether it is a school or it is college or it is professional college or it is any other place, they are educational institution. They are talking about um, um, the mandate of creating quality education experiences with active participation of teachers. So there's a lot of emphasis on how teachers will have to reinvent themselves in times to come. I really felt when I was writing this particular thing that there's a lot of freedom, I should say, which is expected to come to teachers. But if I don't know what to do with my freedom, I would not be able to enjoy the kind of things which I can do in my professional life. So education segment, or this entire area is will soon become very dynamic in nature. There are proposals, like we may say that it is not possible, but I have seen it happening in our institution at different levels, because we are a professional institutions, we have a different kind of freedom with us. But we have seen this kind of thing happening in our MPhil courses, PhD courses, the kind of flexibility that we have with regard to how we plan our courses. Even at master's level, we have this kind of freedom in our department. I think these kind of freedoms will be now coming to college teachers, that okay, so this is the larger segment, you can plan your own syllabus onto it, and you can post it, and you can have students coming in to take your course. Everything is going to be credit based, so you can create credit based courses, you can launch them through the college, and you can come back to these kind of scenarios will be there, 5 year down the line is what I can foresee my critical examination of the policy. So these things are, so that is why, I need to be a little bit careful. Now, supposing I and Ritu are offering the course in the same kind of a field, So I'll have to outsmart and I'll have to say that, oh, I would do it in certain fashion, so that more students take my course and less students take her course. So it is not about, I'm not talking about publicity, but I'm also talking about the kind of research that I do, the kind of readings I should do in my particular course, and so how will my course stand out as compared to other people's course. I think these are very critical things that would be expected of us in times to come. Yeah, this is what I've written. The policy is a clear indication that structures and processes would be conceptualized differently in time to come. It has expanded the notion of equity-based inclusive education. Now, that's something which I've spoken in the first part of it, because I wanted to set it as a preamble to our understanding of what will happen in the classroom. So already the classrooms are diverse, but the kind of equity-based inclusive education which is being promoted through this particular policy, and the kind of exit and re-entry options which are given in this particular policy, when they come in practice, our role as teachers would change entirely. We would have to understand our whole process very, very differently. Uh, so the formal announcement of creating special educational zones, I think this is a very significant point. That the special educational zones which are created, which will be created, it is in a specific reference to school education, but it also finds its mention in higher education. So we need to be very, very careful about these kind of things, that higher education would become accessible in special educational zones as well, which is a political will. And of course, it is aimed at, the primary goal of these kind of things is to provide quality education to otherwise marginalized group. And these, so because we are trying to provide education, attempt is to provide education to marginalized groups. It cannot be restricted to middle school or higher school, or just a primary school or something like that. So the entire ambit of things will be available. So very critical, and we must understand that this might mean a lot of employment opportunities also. So we should feel happy, although Delhi se koi kahin nahi jane wala, I know that also. It's everybody's favorite. Yeah. So coming up to so yeah, so this is important, and that is why it gets important as teachers when I go to the classroom. They could be they are trying to there's a move to set up a certain kind of uh, um, centrally regulated. I don't want to use the word controlled. I want to use the word centrally regulated institutions across India. So when we do that, we might become like Kendriya Vidyalaya. So this is a very extrapolated thinking that I'm going through, that we may become like Kendriya Vidyalayas, and we may be shifted from one place to another. I mean, I'm just kind of assuming. So for any one of us, it becomes very important. I've explained this earlier, but I took a lot of time preparing this slide. One of my favorites I share in all FDPs and orientation programs, because it really looks good. So socio-cultural context is what I'm talking about. That the students' socio-cultural context is something which will be very significant for us as teachers in community, to plan effective learning environments. So that if I want to bring in, I need to understand the socio-cultural context of that particular student. Sociocultural context, by sociocultural context, we mean the family, we mean the peers, we mean the community. In certain people's family, I had a student in my class last year only. He has done his master's in physics. And when we were talking, he was like, I come from a family in Himachal Pradesh, and their family is basically, orchid farmers. So he said we grow all kind of things, and he's the first student, he's the first person from that family to come out and study to that level, to be interested in higher education and things like that. So we were just having a conversation. I said, my family keeps on telling me, why do you have to get into all these kind of things? Everything is set. back home. So when we are talking about this idea, when we are talking about this particular thing, we need to be very careful about the fact that when we talk about socio-cultural context, we should not always think that the student is coming from an economically weaker section. The student might be coming from a very, very settled family, but the family may not have a tradition of sending their children to higher education, just because they connect education with employment, and they don't think that my child needs to be employed or earned well. They need education for that. Whereas there are certain segments where education has been the only means to earn your livelihood. So these are the families which are sending their kids to higher education. There is another segment which has neither money nor education. So they see education as the only means to change their lives, you know. So they would also be sending their kids to higher education. So when the students are coming to higher education, they would come to us from a variety of profiles, and that is what is important for us to understand, that this is not typically same. I've discussed the details of it in the earlier session. If there are any question later, we can just switch on to that. I would like to very quickly move through it because I know I need to wind up at 3:15 or 3:20 max. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We are going to have a question answers round also. So for that, we are keeping 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I'll
should
I'll quickly go through this. I've explained the ideas behind most of these earlier, you know. So I'll just quickly go through these slides now. So the teacher play a central role basically in facilitating a learning among their students. Let me just read this slide out. They are required to make informed pedagogic choices, addressing the diversity among students, and focusing upon the fundamental features of a subject, attempting to create a resonance between the subject and the learner. You know, terms like resonance, coherence will keep dropping in, and I can't help it. Being a physics student, that would happen. Yeah. So this requires them to comprehend the uniqueness of both and fine tune for an infinite harmony. So that is the basic role of any teacher that we are trying to figure out. Student is surrounded by, I've discussed this, but this depiction will help us understand better. So a student by herself or himself is surrounded by teachers, educational institute, the ethos which the institute has, and family and parents. So all these people who are here, the student is also in a very complex relationship with each of these. In fact, four of these have been in very complex relationship with each other. And that is why it becomes important for us again when we are planning our classroom. This is a process which I kind of turned out, which I'll quickly read the segments of it, and then the next two slides will help us understand the subject specific nature of the discussion that I'm holding right now. Plan the nature of the classroom interaction. हम कुछ guide rules बना सकते हैं that how the student and teachers will interact in the classroom. Initiate the learning process. Facilitate active participation of the learners. It's important. And active participation is not that you raise a question and they respond. Active participation means they become question posers also. They start posing questions, and then they start solving questions. So from problem solver to problem posers, how shall they cover that journey? Something that we need to create. Develop an understanding of and grounding in passion for the subject. I think that's another important aspect that we all need to do. Gaining a sense of participation and responsibility in the overall scheme of life. How my subject will contribute to their life is something which is important for us to understand. And when we look at all the 3, 4 points down there, we shall be able to achieve that. Creating a harmoniously developed person, spreading rays of excellence on and on. This is something looks like a out of the word kind of an objective, but I think we all aspire to arrive at this point sooner or later. So when I was doing my research and when I came up with this, my supervisor said, "You really want to put it here?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. For any education purpose, this has to be the ultimate aim." So I think those kind of a larger aim, but we are touching it in very smaller ways and small subjects. This is something where I will like to spend a minute on, because this is important for us to understand how the subject matter is transformed for teaching. So very important for us to understand that how the subject that I'm supposing, I'm teaching physics. Okay, let me just take that example, convenient for me. So supposing I'm teaching physics, I need to actually understand that what should I teach, what should I know, what should my students know. So what do I know? I need to know the knowledge of the concept. So I want to teach Newton's laws, and I should know Newton's laws by myself. The knowledge of the subject is very important. Pedagogical techniques are very important. What does that mean? What is the meaning of pedagogical techniques? Pedagogical techniques mean that we are able to, we know that those processes which I just discussed with you, that how to communicate my things to the student, whether I'm using an online source, an offline source, or how I'm interacting, the kind of teaching learning materials that I use, all those kind of things become very, very important. Now, this third segment is something which is exceptionally critical for us as teachers to know, that is formulation of concept. Newton's laws were framed, but how Newton arrived at those laws, this is called the epistemological journey of that particular subject, that particular content. So, as teachers, if we know the epistemological journeys of our subjects, we can do wonders in the classroom. And this is one thing which is not so overtly discussed during our educational profile. So, as teachers, we'll have to make extra efforts to be able to do this and to be able to work out on this particular thing. That how do we move on to doing certain things? How did the subject arrive at? So, understanding the pedagogical as well as the epistemological underpinnings of my subject is something which is very, very critical for me. Is it subject specific? Yes, it is subject specific, because every subject will have a different kind of, we all know, you open a history textbook, you open a physics textbook, open a mathematics textbook, open a economics textbook, open a accounts textbook, open a language textbook, open any textbook, and by looking at the textbook you can figure out that what subject it belongs to, because every subject has a theoretical framework, how the thoughts are there, what kind of thoughts that are there, the kind of language or terminology which the subject uses, and the kind of representations with the subject use. So in a language book, typically you will find textual material, you will not find mathematics, graphics, or numericals or things like that. But whereas you will find a lot of text and pictures in history textbook, you will find, and so on and so forth. So the textbooks are different. The representation of the thought in a subject is different, and that is why every it is very, very subject specific, the epistemology as well as the pedagogy. Yeah, so this is something which is important for us to understand. Very quickly, within next 3 minutes, I don't want to spoil the time frame of the program. So, have I said any rhetoric during the program? So rhetorics, what are rhetorics typically? Rhetorics are the things which resource person come, they tell you, and they're like, okay, you should be doing it like that. It looks like the resource person never has to come up and do these kind of things. We are facing this classroom, we know exactly what happens in the classroom. So have I spoken any such kind of rhetorics? Definitely yes. So I've spoken two rhetorics out here. One is the rhetoric of inclusion, that is the classrooms are becoming diverse, and people are walking in from different segments of society. So we need to be a little bit careful. Have I given you any tools to deal with this rhetoric of inclusion? Yes. I have spoken about people's belief system, how we are socialized into it. I've spoken about how self-reflections, how we have to gauge our own actions. I've also spoken about how we have to build a process of reflection. So when we are talking about an inclusive classroom, the rhetoric of inclusive classroom we have provided you with the tools of understanding people's belief system, understanding action and reflection, and developing certain thinking and processor skills, which are, which help us reflect critical examination, interpolation, extrapolation, all those kind of things, are very important for us to do that. The second rhetoric that we have spoken about here is a teacher as an active reflective practitioner. So I don't say that we teachers are superhuman, but we teachers have a profile where there is a constant need for us to work on ourselves. The older we grow, older not in sense of age but in sense of experience. Our experience is reflected in the sense how much how I'm able to build a rapport with a student or a group of students, how maturely I'm able to deal with that situation which occurs in my classroom. It can be a social situation, it can be a learning situation. So my response to a situation is based on my critical examination of my own on experience. If I'm able to develop that, it's wonderful. Have I given you any tools in this? No, I have not given you any tools for this, but I have been very strongly suggested all the people that please read about action research, grounded theory research. These are the things which, as teachers, will help us grow as active reflective practitioners. So I have a suggestion. I've not discussed this, but please, because I don't have time. If they have given me a 10 hours time, I would have done all this, but I don't have that kind of time. That's okay.
You can
That's okay. Yeah, just winding up 1 more minute. Yeah. So
ma'am,
developing.
you can stretch to 5 to 10 more minutes, ma'am. No issue, ma'am.
No, 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 no. I wanted 10 hours.
No, we don't have 10 hours, but we
I know.
have five.
No, no, perfect, perfectly fine. No, no issues at all. And then, so just read through. These are very specific research things which can be done on a regular issue. So if I face anything in the classroom, I don't have an answer to it. So these are the kind of techniques which conversant, which makes me efficient into resolving my problem. Because my problem may be very particular to my own class problem, my own situation. So how do I deal with them? These are the ways. Rather than getting frustrated, these are the proactive ways of dealing with them. So if I develop an understanding of these things, I would probably be a better person for myself. I need to look after myself also. Then developing sharing platforms. So supposing I do something in my classroom, this I see this is a huge group. You are 90 plus people in this particular group, so the entire group or maybe a few of
And we
you.
are 200. Many of us, many of the faculty are joining from, with the YouTube link, ma'am.
Oh, that's amazing.
200 plus. 200
Oh,
plus,
wow.
ma'am.
Very nice, very nice. And all of us are higher education teachers. So I
Yes,
think
yes.
it's such an exemplary situation that if we are able to create a kind of a platform, an online platform for this, and I keep posting. So, okay, so we did this in that session. I tried this in my classroom, and this is what happened. So there is a lot of sharing platform if we can create at certain point of time. That would be just amazing. And that is how the corpus of solutions start coming to us, because individually we may do 5 action research in our life, but if 200 people do 5 each, we get 1,000 things in life. So I think these are the kind of scenarios which we need to look up for and which we need to build upon. This is my favorite quote. Plato Saab ki hai, I have not written it. But he really says that a dream begins with a teacher. So for any student to dream, for any individual to dream, the dream begins with a teacher who believes in you, who thugs you, who pushes you. And this thugging and pushing is not the corporate punishment I'm talking about, and leads you to the next plateau, sometimes poking you with a sharp stick called truth. So if I think that my student doesn't have excellent language ability, my student can't express well. So instead of saying that, okay, no problems, I should be very humbly telling the student that, see, you need practice on your sentence formation. You need practice with your grammar. You need practice with your adjectives. You need practice with your adverbs. We can do any such kind of task which is real. We should be able to give feedback to the students in that particular context. This is the last slide, and this also happens to be a request that, see, 200 plus is a big community. This entire idea is open in public space, but all the slides that I presented are original work. They're all under publication. So if you plan to quote it somewhere, kindly keep the copyright in mind. So that's my very simple request to all of you. If we have time, we can take a couple of observations. Otherwise, बात तो नहीं करी मैंने आपसे, बट मुझे बोल के बहुत मजा आया. आई होप यू वर लिसनिंग. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you so much, Vanda ma'am. It was insightful lecture, and you have taught us that we should be familiar and understanding with our students, and we should understand the feeling of the students. and we are teachers, and we are highly respected in the society. That is why we should return that thing to the society. Now I request my friend Renu to take up the question answers of the participants.
I request participants to post the questions in the chat box. I'm taking questions one by one. So, ma'am, the very first question is from Dr. Junaid, sir. Ma'am, what are the exact guide to put tight guidance and motivation so that we as the teacher shall not be taken for granted by the pupils?
See, I think first of all, we need to be very motivated by ourselves. And what do we mean by this entire phrase of taken for granted? Taken for granted means that we have not been able to set certain rules which are mutually agreed upon. So I always say that there has to be a mutually agreed upon rule book for all classrooms. I may be teaching, say, 5 sections, 5 groups of students in a week. With each of these 5 groups, I can have a different set of rules. But there can be discussions for rules. Rules can be flexible, but for that particular time, the rules have to be there, and both the parties will have to agree to abide to that rules. So, if a rule from student side is that the teacher will give us at least 15 days to do assignment, I plan accordingly. I give it at least 15 days in advance, but then the student also submit it on the deadline, on the date that is there. So these kind of issues, I think if we come at a kind of a mutually agreed upon rules, it can be great for the classroom, because then we will not feel that, students are always asking for extra time, they're not coming to class, they don't come to class, they ask for attendance and things like that. We all know all these kind of things happening in the classroom. So I think whatever be the problem, just jot down all of these, whatever be the critical issues, write them up, and then try to come up with an agreement with the student group for that particular semester. And then just say that, okay, so this is the guidebook which we are all going to follow. We have WhatsApp group these days, posted on the WhatsApp group. Let there be discussion before the rule book is decided. After the rule book is decided, everybody is going to agree to that. So, these kind of things, when we do, we also don't feel harassed, because I'm a lot for teachers' mental health also. It's very, very important that how teachers need to be respected, not by the parents of the students, but by students themselves. So that is something which is critical. That's my suggestion. I hope it works.
Thank you so much, ma'am. One more question.
My God.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was wonderful session.
Ma'am, I think the participants are truly satisfied because they are writing very informative lecture. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. You can also see in the chat box, ma'am.
And ma'am, moreover, we are teachers, so we are highly motivated by your lecture, because we all are academicians. So we all are highly motivated with your lecture. And very important thing that you have discussed, that one should be familiar with the needs, the diverse nature of the students. Rather, what we do in practical life is, we remain in hurry, students remain in hurry, and especially in online mode, the students generally off their cameras and off their videos, etc. And we are delivering the lecture in a closed room. There is no interaction. So, ma'am, thank you for making us once again motivated, because I think some way or the other we start losing our interest, that okay, the cameras are off, or ye naya bata ke kya karna hai. So we are feeling highly motivated by your lecture, ma'am, that the students come from the diverse field of society. So we should be, at least we are teachers, so we should keep us highly energetic, because they are coming from the heterogeneous group. So we should keep us energetic, and we should understand that okay, they have off their cameras, they off their videos, but we should not be demotivated, because our purpose is to arise their feelings. Our purpose is to mold them towards their this knowledgeable field. So once again, thank you, ma'am, thank you so much. Renu wants to say something.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a thank you so much. Thanks for accepting our invitation on a very short notice, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Renu.
I have to make a small announcement. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am. There is a like our bandwidth, the bandwidth connection is I made bit low, so that's why the voice is breaking.
Okay. Renu, just one thing,
So,
and Anjuji also,
I,
I heard in the beginning that you people are collecting the feedback. If you get a feedback from the students about the session, I mean the participants, not students, sorry. If you get a feedback and if you can share it with me, it will be interesting for me to know because I would also like to know that what are the segments which have hit positively, but where do they need more kind of information and things like that. So it will be very helpful for me if that
sure,
feedback is
sure.
shared. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am,
Sure,
sure.
ma'am. Sure, ma'am. We will do
Thank
that.
thank you.
I'll,
Thank you.
I'll get back to you, ma'am, with the feedback responses and by tomorrow because we give them 12 hours to fill same, ma'am.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I take your leave now. You
And
continue with the assessment.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you. Lovely, lovely meeting both of you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, ma'am.
Bye.
I have a small request to be made to the participants, or you can say an announcement. There will be two links which will be floated on Telegram group. The one is for the certificate details, the details which you want to be printed on their certificates. The second will be the details form in which you need to fill your details. The details and the forms are need to be filled by tomorrow itself as soon as it be filled because we won't be able to give the certificates on time in case you don't fill the details on time. So we need that both the forms to be filled on time. Second thing is like many of saying that they were not having the knowledge that yesterday was no session was there. We have floated this information on the session itself, and we have also shared the YouTube link on which this was there, that the Saturday is in break day, and
Sunday.
Sunday was the break day. And we also shared this thing on the Telegram group in case you are not and we also have formed a discussion forum. So in case you have any kind of query, please be there, please post your doubts there, because it happens sometimes that the mails get scrolled up or missed, but we try our best to be there on Telegram group. So and we also shared the schedule also of the 1 week online FDP.
So, dear participants, if you want to discuss anything, you are free to discuss. And you know that on 24th, we have started with the inaugural session. There we have Mr. Rajesh Sharma ji and Assistant General Secretary from SOCHM. And friends, we do a very hard work to arrange all these sessions because whosoever we call as our resource person, he or she is not free at all. So from their busy schedule, they give us, because this is quite a long stretch of 1.5 hours. So when whosoever we contact, he or she is not free for that much long stretch of time. And as this is a faculty development program, we have to give all the details to MHRD for our stipulated duration of time. And that is fixed hours. So we cannot make this FDP for lesser hours. So many thanks to all those resource persons who are sparing their time, precious time, because you know that everybody is busy, everybody has its own schedule. So many thanks to all these resource persons, and we do very hard work to all these things. And if you have any query, then our phone numbers are available to you. So instead of getting agitated and doing and saying something that we are not delivering this thing, or we are not saying something, you can straight away call us. We are only a call away from all of you. And we both are trying our best to give you and resolve all the problems. Once again, I'm reiterating that we have not yet released the scores and the marks, so and the answers. So if any teacher is saying that I myself this is wrong, or I have received this thing, that is altogether wrong. And if from any part, if you are feeling that they are doing this thing, you can give suggestions Suggestions are always welcome because we all belong to same fraternity. We are on the same page. You are researchers, you are teachers, and as well we are teachers. We have the same knowledge as you have, and rather I expect that you all might be having extra knowledge as compared to both of us. हो सकता है कि आपका नॉलेज और ज्यादा हो, हमारे से ज्यादा हो, because it may happen that our younger generation, as the ma'am has told us, that this younger generation has more information, they are more knowledgeable, they are more capable. So dear participants, please bear with us, don't get agitated, and please be happy, because we give all the freedom to our participants, keeping in view, as GP Madan sir has told us, that whenever they give to any higher circle in the government officials, they have a high respect for teachers, and these government officials, or in the higher circle of the government or the upper circle, we are highly respected, mainly because of our this research background or our education. So dear participants, please ignore our mistakes or forgive us for our mistakes, and please be happy. Take the sessions in a lighter mode and in a knowledgeable manner, because this is teaching learning method. We are learning, and we always learn. Life is small, but learning is wide. So over to Renu.
Sir, regarding the test, we are floating the test on 2nd or 3rd. The details will be shared on the group itself, on the Telegram group. The Google form will be there for floating the for accepting the test. The way you are submitting your quiz, the format will be same for the final quiz. Only the quiz will be from all of the sessions which you have attended till now. As we are giving right now the quizzes per session, the final quiz will be from all of the sessions combinedly. So in that particular final quiz, the range of the question will vary from 40 to 50. So you have to attempt all those particular questions and quizzes within a stipulated time period, which we are going to uh, uh, post in the Telegram group. So next thing is and we are also going to give the time for that particular final quiz. It's not like we are going to have continuous sessions and we are asking you to post the quiz also of the final quiz. We are going to give you the time for submitting that final quiz also.
And on 2nd March, in the afternoon session, we have the session that is summary session. Then we both too will recall whatever we have discussed in all these sessions. That means the preparation for your test, final test, that will take place on the 3rd March. That is valedictory day, and after this from 4 onwards, there will be valedictory session. So friends,
So the assignments which we are giving is for as this FDP is for the CAS. For CAS, we need to fulfill the guidelines by the UGC and MHRD. So the assignments requirement, final test, and the daily quiz session is as per the requirement of the MHRD only. We are not doing this on our own, sir. Kindly understand and kindly try to understand this thing. This is the requirement for the CAS. This particular certificate will be applicable for the promotion as this is online. So we need to give some proofs to the MHRD that yes, our participants were regularly involved in this particular FDP. So for that reason, we have to give 3 assignments and the daily session quiz and 1 final quiz. The grade will be given on the marks which you receive after the submission of quiz. So the final marks and the quiz on daily submission will be added upon and the grade will be generated by the system only. In case there is any other query, please post in the chat box because this is a live platform. Ashima ma'am, are you on the Telegram group? Am I audible, Ashima ma'am? In case you are not on Telegram group, ma'am, please just message me. We'll add you for the Telegram group.
So that give us a call.
Or give us a call. Whatever you feel comfortable. We are also adding some of the participants individually because they were not able to join us.
We are a call away from you, from all of you.
Ashima ma'am, I will share the link to you. Just tell me, are you on the Telegram group?
We'll give personally. We'll give you on. You just give us your phone number and we'll give you on your WhatsApp. So please don't worry for that. Whosoever asks her, we give him or her on her WhatsApp number. Please share your number.
Ashima combine the list of the participants who have filled the feedback form and quiz. As soon as it's get ready, we are going to float same on the Telegram group. Sir, we are going to give the full mark schedule in the end of the session. The score of each and every quiz will be given.
Kanchana ma'am, where from you have got the marks? Because we have not yet released the marks. So ma'am, we will release all the marks collectively. So please don't say that you have got the marks. We have not yet released. From where you have got the marks, we do not know.
Ashima ma'am, just make us a call from the brochure. Our number is on the brochure. We will give you each and every information there.
Soumya का number मैं note. Soumya, I have noted your number. क्या number है? 36.
Then break of 20 minutes. We all will be meeting at 4 o'clock for the next session. Thanks everyone for joining us. Please be back at 4 p.m. Thanks a lot. Ashima ma'am, we are not communicating by email. We have made a group of the tech. In case you are not there, please share your details on mail only. I'll get back to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sir, kindly make Pradeep Kumar Panda, sir, co-host. Sir, resource person have joined us. Kindly make him co-host. Uh, Hello, Pradeep, sir. I have made you co-host. So there are two ID with your name. So I'm making both the co-host.
Yeah, from one I'll make the PPT.
Sir, in case you are using two devices in one room, the voice will get very much disturbed. There will be an echo. Sir, sir,
Yeah,
now
I
it's
logged
fine.
out from one. Yeah, it's fine.
Now it's fine, sir. So I request Dr. Anju Jain, ma'am, to Pradeep Kumar Panda, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. A very warm welcome
Good afternoon.
to you on the on this platform of 7 days interdisciplinary faculty development program organized by Shama Prasad Mukherjee College in association with TLC Center, Ramanujan College. Sir, we welcome you once again. I am giving you your brief profile. Dr. Pradeep Kumar Panda is an economist, author, columnist, and development professional. He has over 12 years of professional experience in government and corporate sector and currently associated with Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. He is awarded with International Youth Leadership Award 2020, India Excellence of the Year Award 2020, National Youth Icon Award 2019, Best Economist Award 2019, Best Writer Award 2018, Best Young Researcher Award 2016, University Achievers Award 2008, Bharti Bharti Award 2007 for outstanding contribution to academics, research and publication in the field of economics and youth development. He has published 20 books. There are different names of the books: Impact of COVID-19 on Indian Economy in the year 2020, UGC Net Economics 2020, and there are many more books. Then financial economics and Indian economy are published in various national and international journals. He is columnist in Odisha Plus, The Hunt, Enviro Annotations, Geography, and UN published over 100 articles in the areas of development, gender equality, macro monetary economics, financial economics, and Indian economy. He is resource person of several national and international journals. He has presented paper in over 100 international, national and state conferences and seminars. He has delivered several guest lectures in various academic institutions across India. Born and brought up in Bhubaneswar, he has completed his college education from BJB College, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. He has secured his MA and MPhil degree in economics from Central University of Hyderabad and PhD in economics from IGNOU, New Delhi. We welcome you, sir, on this platform. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to share my perspective on the subject. I'll keep it as simple as it. I can understand there will be different different streams participants. So I'll keep it as simple as possible and let it be a discussion. Anywhere, any doubt, we can take up the questions and please feel free to ask any questions then and there. And after all, after my discussion also, you can ask questions. So straight away, let's get to the topic. This you are saying about the demonstrations, dharna and all through it's almost 100 days and you are seeing every day like black or producers, the farmers, they're in protest over several borders, be it Singhu border, Tikri border, and Gajipur border, and all other parts of the country, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, all of the farmers are joining the protest. So fundamentally, as a citizen, not as a economist, as a citizen, we all think about the condition of our farmers because they are the persons who provide food to our plate. So we are very much concerned about why they're protesting. It's been over 100 days. There have been talks, around 10 rounds of talks between the farmers and the government, starting from 26 November, then it is on 30 November. So last meeting, it was on 19th January. So there is a deadlock between farmers and government of India. There is no discussion is going. Supreme Court has intervened and they have set up a committee. Then it's going on. So let's get on to the topic, see why central government is trying to push these acts and why the farmer is protesting. Let's get into the fundamentals or the background of things. When you understand the background, the context, it will be easier to know why farmers are protesting or what should be done. So briefly, I'll touch upon the overview of Indian agriculture, how it stands, where we stand. Then I'll talk about the new farm bills, the three bills, 2020, why these bills brought in, need for policy reforms, then the pros and cons of all these three bills. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Why farmers are protesting? Then the main cause of concern, that is minimum support price. How MSP came, how it is evolved over the years. Then I'll talk about way forward, what can be done, the amicable solutions that can be win-win situation for both the farmers and the government of India. So if you see our agriculture sector, as we know, it is Indian economy is primarily an agriculture economy. Agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy, as it constitutes 15% of GDP and roughly about 7.5% global agriculture output by 2018. And it employs 44% of workforce in the country directly, but indirectly the number is around 56%. So the contribution of agriculture sector to Indian economy is immense. And in terms of food production, if we see from 1950, where there was shortage of foods, we have come a long way. We have come a long way due to green revolution and several structural reforms, land reforms. We have increased our yield. Currently, it is 295.67 million tons, which is second highest after China. So we are the second highest producer of food grains in the world. And in 1965, the grain production was only 65 to 70%. That's where we are importing lots of wheat, we know, PL 480, a lot of things we are importing. We are dependent on other countries. Now the situation changed drastically. We are more self-sufficient in many food products. And I can say that India is world's largest producer of pulses. 25% of global production of pulses comes from our India, and it has obviously large implication in terms of protein. And Indian agriculture production is large because the area of country of production and proportion of area cultivated are both large, and the consumption level is of the local people are modest. So that's, and if you see, as I was saying, the contribution of agriculture sector, you can see in the graph. And during 1950s, the contribution was 52%. Is gradually precipitously declined over the period 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and it come right now it is hovering around 18%, I just said. So it has come from 52% in 1950 to 16, 17, it is around 18%. But it is generally is a process. When economy grows or it is a path of a progressive economy, the contribution of agriculture sector to the economy declines, and that of the industrial sector and service sector increases. It is a progress mark, nothing to worry about the contribution. But only thing is that we see how the structure has contributed, how the change has been done. Because any economy, when it grows from agricultural economy to industrial economy, then it comes to service sector economy. But in India, it straight away jumped from agriculture to service sector. You can say, see the service sector contribution, which was around 28%, it increased to around 50% in the currently, and it's most dominant now. And industrial sector is declining. It was around 20%, now it is around 25%. It is stagnating. So the cause of concern is that agriculture sector should be developed, and its forward linkage and backward linkage with industry and service should be established. That we'll discuss in the further course of action, what can be done. Then, as I was saying, we are the leading producer in many crops. Like production of horticultural crops is second largest after China. Sugar production is again second largest after Brazil. Then horticultural crops have grown 3 times, foods and all, vegetables and all. It has grown 3 times in last 25 years. That is a significant achievement. And until 2005, the labor to land ratio was rising continuously. That is a concern the average land size is 2 acres. Generally, 86% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. 86% of our farmers have the land size up to 2 hectares. Only 14% of our farmers have um, land over 10 acres that we can see. So the proportion of big farmers in our country is very limited. Most of the farmers are small farmers, marginal farmers, and they have, as I said, less than 2 hectares of land. Now, as you all know, these are the three new bills enacted in September 2020 by ordinance first, then it got approval in the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then it got converted into Act. So the three bills precisely names were Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act. It is called FPTC Act 2020. The second one is Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance Farm Services Act 2020. It's more on protection agreement and it's Contract Farming Act. Third act is Essential Commodities Amendment Act. It was amended. The original act came in 1956. It was amended multiple times, and latest amendment is 2020. So these are the three bills for which farmers are protesting. Now, as I said, we have to understand the context of why these bills are brought in and what are the unrest among the farmers. So, as I said, it has enacted two new farm laws for agriculture, and the Essential Commodities Act, which was in 1951 for agri-foodstuff, it was modified. All the three acts came in September 2020. So, according to government, these new three acts is claimed as historic pathbreaking, and it's the 1991 movement for agriculture. Why it is called 1991 movement? Because our economy was converted into open economy, or the structural reform that's called LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. The LPG or liberalization process started in 1991. The economy was open to foreign direct investment, and the first foreign direct investment was in all the sectors was approved in 1991. Till that, Indian economy was a kind of protected economy. There was license Raj. You had to take a lot of license for setting up industry or anything. But that process was simplified for industrial and service sector in 1991. So it was called 1991 movement for that. But then 1991, there was no reforms or structural changes made in agriculture sector. But the reforms in agriculture sector was long due. So these three acts government is terming these are 1991 movement for agriculture. As we know how some of the stakeholders and experts have expressed serious apprehension about the effect of these farmers on farmers and agriculture sector overall. Some are treating it on ideological imaginary grounds to build opinions and pressure against new laws by ignoring the intent, content, and implication. We have to understand intent, content, and implication. Then some people have also concerned about likely dilution of role of small number of farm middlemen in agriculture market, ignoring the benefits to crores of farmers. Because in our system, gradually as I discuss, I'll say what are those layers of middlemen in agriculture marketing. But in our agriculture system is very complex system, farm to the plate, from the initial plowing till we consume the final products. There are multiple chains, multiple levels of middlemen. And as any product goes through this multiple channels or multiple links, this price increases, and whatever we get is higher than whatever the price. I'll give you a simple example. The cashew, which we consume, the cashew packet per kg, we consume around 2000. But that's initial prices. I was doing a World Bank study on cashew value chain. I studied the different aspects or this different process, how it is coming from cashew plant till our plate. So initially, the raw cashew that is sold around 50 rupees per kg. So the raw cashew, which is sold at 50 rupees per kg at farm level, through different process, through different marketing, standardization, all these things will cost us around 2000 per kg. So you can see the number of multiple of addition of prices because uh, lots of middlemen engaged and they're taking the share and farmer is not getting the remunerated prices. So obviously these farm bills were brought in to ignore or wipe out the, the middleman, which is diluting the profit, which is actual remuneration of the farmers. So this three farm laws have implication on farm sector, agriculture price market committee, APMC, that we generally know as mandis. Then MSP regime, as I said, minimum support price, then consumers, then the future agriculture, agriculturalists, and related aspects. So these three acts have wide implication on all our sectors. Then, as I said, we'll discuss why Government of India had to bring these acts and what are the cause of concern by the farmers. Why this unrest across India for over 100 days. Now, we should understand the premise. The premise, basically, if whenever any law or act is made, we should focus on four factors. We should take into account these four factors when we implement any act on agriculture sector. Like first is on policy relating to agriculture must not compromise on food security because our PDS system, public distribution system, that is run by Food Corporation of India, is highest and largest in the world. We give food or security as mandated by National Food Security Act 2013 to round about 45% of our population. Recently, during the lockdown, 80 crore Indian population, 80 crore Indian population were given free ration for over, like say, 8 months under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. So while we draft any law, we should take into account its impact on food security because it is recognized globally. And generally, when there is any law made on agriculture sector, we are part of WTO regime. Like we are a signatory to World Trade Organization Acts, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. Under that, there is agriculture clause, and whatever changes we make, we have to be compliant on that sector. So India is signatory to WTO. So all these things as political economic forces, like 1960s when India was continuously dependent on US aid. Because our productivity, because of our efforts by our farmers, we are now in a position of self-sufficiency, at least in food grains like paddy and wheat. We're most food sufficient in paddy and wheat. So that is taken into account while drafting any law. Second, the farmer's income must rise steadily over the time. And there should be sufficient incentive for farmers and other stakeholders to invest in agriculture and agro-based activities. If the laws or the acts will not lead to increment in farmers' income, as Government of India plans to double agriculture income by 2020. So if it is not converting at ground level, so then there will be no incentive for the farmers to adapt to new laws. And other aspect is, if you are not contributing, if you are not sufficient giving sufficient incentive to farmers, farmers will not be agriculture sector. They'll move to other sector. That is happening. Farmers are moving to industrial sector, service sector, and there is debt, there is migration, distress migration for rural to urban areas. We see, and we are seeing the pictures of plight of migration during the lockdown, how our fellow countrymen were walking on the path over periods without any food and all. These are because these are the structural changes in the economy. If the economy, agriculture will not perform, that size of the employment, as I said, 56% of Indian population is dependent on agriculture. If agriculture will not be remunerative, they'll try to switch to industrial and service sector, and industrial service sector has not such employment opportunity that they can absorb such huge population, because 56% of the Indian labor force can't be absorbed by Indian industrial sector as well as service sector. So in agriculture sector has to perform. So these has to be taken into account. Third, inequality should not rise unsustainably. Like any act should bridge the gap between rich and the poor, rich farmer, poor farmer, and it should not, any act should not lead to rise in inequality. It should bridge the gap otherwise. And fourth, it should also focus on ecological damage, or if it is causing any damage on the economy. So if before drafting any law or any act, we should think about food security, farmers' income, inequality, and ecological damage, that is sustainable development goal. Because we have signed UNDP sustainable goals of 17 SDGs, and we aim to achieve that by 2030. So India is a signatory along with 193 member countries of UN. So we have that commitment also. So a lot of things are taken into account while drafting any law. Now, why these policy reforms were brought in? Why it is needed. The first, I said, the major policy reforms in 1991 did not cover agriculture. That is foremost reason. It was more about industrial sector and service sector. It was more opening of agriculture, industrial sector and service sector market, finance, insurance, all these were open, and FDI limit in insurance, finance, all increased to 74% like that. Gradually, banks were also nationalized, and the banking sector, there was entry of foreign banking system, foreign investment system, finance system. So it was opened in 1991, but agriculture sector, there was no major reform. And initially also, during that period of time, many governments thought that if we basically, these reforms are not needed, because while we'll develop industrial and service sector, that will contribute to agriculture sector. We call it trickle down effect. Trickle down effect generally ends if we develop some sectors of the economy, then it will trickle down to grassroots level. And in our economic theories or development theories, we call it big push also. If we give big push to industrial and service sector, its effect will also percolate on agriculture sector. But truly that didn't happen. Trickle down effect and big push theory didn't work because our industrial sector, service sector blossomed, but not agriculture sector. So that was the concern. So exclusion of agriculture sector 1991 was a mistake at that time, policy mistake, I'll say. It is need to be corrected. Then after a few years, it is observed that growth rate of Indian economy has started accelerating, driven by non-agriculture sector. Non-agriculture sector, like I said, industrial sector, service sector is contributing more than in agriculture sector. And India entered into league of modern emerging economies due to the, as I said, liberalization and dilution of Inspector Raj and Permit Raj. However, this is the point of concern. Agriculture growth remained stuck. It was gradually, it in fact, it went to negative. Negative growth in agriculture income was observed in 5 out of 12 years following 1991. Between 1991 till 2001 to out of 12 years, 5 years there was negative agriculture growth. So it was high time. And the gap between agriculture income of the farmers, that of a non-agriculture worker, increased from 25,000 to across 54,000. So we can see the income of non-agriculture workers, be it industrial and service sector, doubled between the period of 1993 to 2000 in 7 years, while agriculture income declined. Similarly, in next 10 years, it was exceeded the farmers' income by 1.42 lakhs. Means it 3-4 times. While agriculture income increased at one time, there was 6 times increase in non-agriculture workers because there was a lot of policy reforms in industrial and service sector, not in agriculture sector. So favorable effect of 1991 policy reforms in non-agriculture sector, and there was growing disparity between agriculture and non-agriculture sector because farmers are moving from agriculture to non-agriculture because income was less. If income is less, there will be distress. And in economics, we call it a negative multiplier effect. If there will be less income in any sector, then there will be less consumption in that sector, less employment, less output, and less demand. So the economy will gradually be backwards. That we call negative multiplier effects. Otherwise, if we give positive boost to any economy, that will be positive multiplier effect. That happened in industrial sector and service sector. This was also followed by series of papers, committees, and a lot of books and all. They highlighted on bringing reforms in agriculture marketing, liberalizing trade, and attracting modern capital investment into the logistic and food value chain, because we require a lot of investment at ground level to develop our agriculture marketing, logistic part, the food storage part in terms of value chain. And WTO agreement had also some of the clauses. As I say, India is a signatory to WTO agreement. So that also gave some of the mandate to be followed. And I'll give you a fact, like what is the level of distress in our economy, like farmer suicide and agrarian district. We see every times like farmers farmers commit suicide due to multiple reasons, lack of credit, lack of um, be it drought, then lack of remunerative prices. And to give you data, NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau, that is by Ministry of Home Affairs, NCRB, collects the data on these aspects, and they have published the data on farmers' suicide from 1995. So, according to farmers' suicide data of NCRB from 1995 till now 17, there is 24 lakh farmer suicide, which is a huge number. So, and some of the persons say that this is a tip of the iceberg, because a lot of farmer suicides are not registered, because the state governments, they generally give different regions. They don't hesitate to term a death to farmer suicide or agricultural distress, because then the state government will be criticized. So it is an understatement till the number is huge. So you can understand what is the plight of farmers at grassroots level. And other regions why India should do these reforms is imbalance between domestic demand and supply. Like India is accumulating a large surplus of some commodities, at the same time importing huge commodities of edible oils and pulses. As I said, we are largest producer in some crops, but not self-dependent, and we're doing a lot of imports in edible oils. So if we want to create the balance between domestic demand and supply, we have to improve the poor state of market facility, post-harvest infrastructure, and logistic. Currently, the post-harvest infrastructure marketing facility is not up to the mark. In case of oilseed and pulses, there is no remuneration, so people are not cultivating those products. Third reason is pressing demand for improving export competitiveness. Most of the Indian agriculture products are primary in nature, so they are lacking in terms of the quality needed by export sector. If you want to develop our export, we have to focus on, we have to aggregate these foods to certain extent, and uh, they should satisfy to some quality to be exported. Similarly, uh, if you see demand and supply, we need to sell 20 to 25% of incremental agriculture food production in overseas markets, so that we can sustain our food production. Otherwise, it will lead to dumping of a lot of foods at FCI go down. We know a lot of foods are wasted at FDI go down because they are not either transported to the person or not exported. So the business as usual setting that involves a long chain of intermediaries, small markets, and it has high transaction costs. So all these things need to be taken in account, and we need to reduce the logistic cost. In our country, if we do after farming, that agriculture marketing costs 15% to the farmers. So if a farmer is producing some product at 100 rupees, 15 rupees extra is he's inculcating due to logistic costs. So that is increasing the price of product, which is not in other cases. In developed economy, the logistics cost is around only 0.5%, 50 paisa, but it is in our country, it is 15%. So it is higher. And to give a statistics, I'll say there are 7,300 mandis, that is called APMC mandis, and 16,000 local hearts across India. And farmers sell their produce through these mandis and local hearts across India. Then agriculture segment like horticulture, milk and fisheries, market intervention by government is either nil or very little, because it is only growing at 4 to 10% annual growth, but it has opportunity, it has potential to grow, because we have a lot of dairy sector improvement, and we have the potential to grow by 20%. So currently it is less. And as I said, Indian farms is dominated by small holding farmers. I said 86% of our farmers are small and marginal holdings. That that gives obstacle to farmers to do any reforms. That needs to. And if unless there is price assurance from the market, they'll not go towards high value crops, because high value crops, if it fails, then the condition will be miserable. They go generally in India, we go for paddy and wheat because the MSP is guaranteed in those products. So we sell those. If MSP will be guaranteed in other high value products like fruits and vegetables, our farmers will go for that. Then despite road networks, infrastructure, it is seen that there is poor integration of prices. Like, as I said, the price, there is cascading effect or multiplier effect at price level. What the onions, which is sold at 50 paise per kg in Nasik, they come around 100 rupees across the country. So from 50 paise, onion price skyrockets to 100 rupees because of these shortages, high prices, fragmented, poor rate of network, the lack of food processing needs, and there is less agri diversification, and there is no job in rural economy. If we link agriculture sector to industrial sector and service sector, then we can create agri diversification, we can create rural jobs, and we can create specialization or value addition, and we can do this with partnership with processor and producer. And eighth region will say the rise in specialization, commercialization of agriculture. Several crops in state will lead to barrier-free interstate trade. Now our market is not one nation, one market, but we should go towards one nation and one market, like GST, one nation, one tax. So of course there are challenges with GST, but the intent or the rationale behind GST is clear. One nation, one tax. Similarly, in our agriculture market, we should go towards one nation, one market. Investment and capital formation in agriculture is essential, because all these infrastructure creation will need a lot of funding, because these are heavy infrastructures. But unfortunately, the growth rate of capital formation or investment in infrastructure in agriculture sector declined from 10% per year 2002-3 to 2% only. Now capital formation or investment in agriculture sector is only 2%. With 2% of agriculture investment and less than 0.5% is total annual investment, it is very difficult to do all these changes, to bring all this revive. So there is needed revive investment in agriculture sector to modernize it. And public-private partnership is one of the way to do that, because and generally when there will be government investment, private investment will follow. Investment in agriculture sector is lacking because our government is not investing money. If government will invest, then private sector will follow. That is called crowding in effect. When government pumps in 1 rupees in the market, private sector pumps in 5 rupees in the market. Similarly, if government withdraws 10% of the fund from the market, private sector withdraws 50% of the fund from the market. So it is government sector investment leads to private sector investment. Then that is called crowding in effect. And then farmers are forced to seek remunerative prices through MSP and government procurement, because there is no alternative market system. And MSP is given in selected communities, and government had offered state procurement the pulses OECD MSP, but it didn't work that way. So competitive environment should get in to get better deals of produce. If farmers are getting better price in the market, then they should go, but there are some of the constraints. So to sum up, to the genesis of policy reforms, we'll say that our agriculture produce market committee, that is called APMC. APMC Act was first introduced in India in 1928 by Britishers. Then it was gradually changed in 1950s or 60s. Indian government came with a modified APMC Act, and these acts further changed in 2000. According to present features of APMC Act, only notified commodities produced in the area can be sold in Mandi only. This is the limitation of APMC current Act, which is not mandated. That's why it was revamped. Then traders and buyers must have license to operate in the Mandi. These are stringent conditions. Multiple levies on the sales and purchase, multiple taxes, no direct sale from the farmers to the traders, because they have to give road tax, toll tax. All these are the drawbacks of current existing APMC Act. Then there is charges of middleman, like commission agent, which is not statutorily fixed. This is not mandated by government, but they take. Like in Punjab, they middlemen take 50%. They levy 15% charges on barrier products, which is not needed, because it is burden on the farmers. So there is realizing the APMC Act intervention. There a lot of legislations were made by the government. India government prepared and pushed for the model APMC Act in 2003, and it circulated to all the states and for their consultation. Then further, UPA government continued with those legislation in 2004, and 16 states adopted that model APMC Act in 2003. After that, next change was suggested in 2014 after Swaminathan Committee report. After several deliberations, the committee prepared model State Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Act 2017. But this model act was discussed with all the state ministers of agriculture marketing, but surprisingly, only one state, Arunachal Pradesh, has adopted till now. Rest states has not adopted this state. Then contract farming was kept out of this APLM Act 2017, and separate model of contract farming was prepared in 2018 by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And actually, government, the point of view of the government is that it was long pending from the states. After 18 long years, it was enacted in 2003, but till 2021, no state has implemented this. So government, central government waited for 18 long years. The only option left with the union government was to either ignore the issue, that is not the future of Indian agriculture farmers, or use the constitutional route or pan-India implementation through some policy. That's why the government took these three states. But one point is that agriculture is a state subject. So anything government has to do, it has to do with consultation with the state. Then third policy of Essential Commodities Act, as I said, it is a mandatory change. It started in 1951 and it changed in 2003, then 2006. There was gradual change in the cases, but the convention Essential Commodities Act basically says if any middleman or investor, they use hoarding, they do hoarding of a lot of products, then they will be penalized. But the conviction rate in this penalized case was only 0.2.7% by this previous act. So the country want to move to a stringent act so that it will not lead to shortage. So overall, the new forms was widely discussed over a long period of time. As I said, 18 long years. They have been partly adopted by some of the states, and COVID-19 of course threw formidable challenges to the economy, and it has to be addressed through bold and courageous policy decision. There will be apprehension from the farmers, but government is saying that it has the potential of converting challenges into opportunities. Now, the first act, as I said, the FPTC Act, it is enacted by a central government in 20. It gives the freedom. Why is this act gives freedom to the farmers to sell and buy farm produce at any place in the country. Previously, they have to sell in the mandis only, and now, according to this act, in India, they can sell anywhere in any place. And it can also sell in terms of e-commerce. To promote e-commerce in agriculture, new laws also allow setting up electronic platform. A farmers can set up his or her e-commerce platform and sell from there. The act also has provision to prescribe modalities for registration of traders. Thus, the new system doesn't. It basically it gives freedom to the farmers. First act to sell anywhere in the country. Then second act basically is called Contract Farming Act. The Contracting Farming Act is basically simplified one. The improved version of Contracting Farm Act is also already adopted in 20 states, and this act saves the balance in favor of farmers. It removes the complicated process of registration. Earlier, you have to do a lot of registration, you have to give deposits. All these were done away with this act. So it is an improved version of the Contract Farming Act. Then third act, as I said, it is a modified for agricultural and food stuff, including cereals, pulses, potato, onion, edible oils. And according to this act, the central government will able to regulate the supply of commodity if there will be hoardings and there will be extraordinary circumstances like war, COVID-19, famine. All this government can control the extraordinary price through this act. So the criticism against this act is the free hand is given to stockist and market manipulator, but this is not founded because government has control on this. Now the current status, as we know, lakhs of the farmers are protesting all over India, led by Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, various borders of Delhi and India from 24 November. Mark the date, from 24 November 2020 till now. It's more over 100 days now. So what farmers are demanding, as I said, they want to repeal these three acts. According to the farmers, these acts are anti-farmer acts. These are provisions for that will suit to corporate houses, and these three acts will not favor any farmers. Anti-farmers, so they want immediate repealing of these three acts, and also they want legal guarantee of minimum support price. We'll discuss about MSP, how it came and what are the provisions. So they want repealing of three acts and legal guarantee of MSP. However, as I said, the government has maintained that these apprehensions are misplaced and ruled out repeal of the law. Government is saying in various discussions, they are saying, as I said, 10 rounds of discussion in 26 November, 30 November, till 19 January. Last discussion was, 10th discussion was on 19 January. All this 10th round of discussion, government said, we want to, if you have any issues with any clause of this three act, then we can do modification in these three acts, but will not repeal these three laws, and will write that MSP will be there but will not come up with the MSP Guarantee Act. That is the stand of the government. Now, based on the public interest litigation, a PIL was filed in Supreme Court, and on 12th January, Supreme Court had intervened and it had stayed the implementation of these three laws. Till next ruling by the Supreme Court, these three laws stand like stagnant. These three laws can't be implemented by central government till the new ruling of Supreme Court law. So right now, old laws prevail and new laws has to be prevail after the Supreme Court hearing. And Supreme Court, to resolve this issue, constituted 4-member committee to make recommendation between center and farmers union. Basically, to make negotiation, it has prepared a committee. The committee, which is appointed by the Supreme Court, they had earlier it has 4 members. Bhupinder Singh Maan, who is national president of Bharatiya Kisan Union, All India Kisan Coordination Committee. Then second is Pramod Kumar Joshi, director of South Asia International Food Policy Research, EPRI. Then well-known economist Ashok Gulati, we all know him, agriculture economist, and he was the former chairman of Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. And Anil Ghanbat. Anil Ghanbat is the president of Setkari Sangathan of Maharashtra. And after the committee was constituted, the first person, like Bhupinder Singh Maan, had recused himself from the court-appointed committee. He said he'll not be part of the committee. Now, the committee is left with 3 members, and these 3 members are doing dialogues with all the Kisan unions. There are 41 Kisan unions. These 3 members are asking them about their views. They are asking also the state governments. So they'll submit a report to the Supreme Court very soon based on their findings. Now, as I said, what are the positive points of these 3 farm bills? The positive first point, I'll say, the farmers, it aims towards free or more flexible system. It has option to buy or sell at any market, selling produce outside physical territories, because you can do e-marketing. Earlier it was only physical, now it's physical plus e-marketing. And the new bill has not made any drastic changes, only a parallel system. Like our Honorable Prime Minister said in the floors of the Parliament, it is an additional system. It is an additional arrangement. It will not replace the existing system. Both the system will continue. Those who want to sell the products in mandi, they can sell their products in mandis. Those who want to commit to new acts, they can. So it is choice with the farmers. The farmers can sell their produce to whole world through ENAM, E-Agriculture National Agriculture Market System. And obviously the amendment to Essential Commodities Act removes fear of the farmer that traders who buys farmer would be punished, because the person, if hoarding is done, then it has provisions for stringent action. And the bill ensured the farmers given same attention as production, and farmers get stipulated price of the crops. Farmers will the price decider, not price taker. If the farmers want to sell at the particular price, then that farmer can negotiate in the open market. Earlier, it was not in the case. As I said, our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi tweeted on September 20 that system of MSP was, is, and will remain, and the government procurement will continue. It was again established in the floors of the Parliament. The Agriculture Minister, Honorable Agriculture Minister Sri Narendra Singh Tomar, also stated past government actually never thought of mandatory to introduce a law for MSP, but he gave a written reply that MSP will be there, Mandi's system will be there. in existing mandi system, it is mandatory to go farmers through a trader, like they have to register. But now that system is done away. You have not to register. It gives freedom. And it has also chance of influence the price being a cartel. Basically, cartel means a lot of group of producers. If lot lot of farmers do their farmer producer organization, they can collectivize the product. They can have say with the negotiation with the products. Like suppose 1500 farmers come together and they produce tomato. Then they can aggregate their products. They can send the products through to the market through Safal Mandi or Reliance or any market. So that negotiation can they have, because if there will be collectivization of products, because they can do the transportation on their own. Now, what is the cons or the advantage or the farmer's apprehension? The farm mill hampers the monopoly of APMC. According to the farmers, if this first law will be implemented, then the mandi system will break down. The mandi system will be closure because it has provision for new market. The mandi system will be closer and the monopoly of APMC, allowing sale purchase of crops outside the state governments, will be difficult. So it will be at the mercy of the contractor or and there will be no guarantee. It is their concern. And these acts don't give any statutory backing to MSP. MSP, minimum support price, is a government arrangement. It has no statutory backing. Like it has no constitutional backing because it is not an act. It is only an arrangement by the government. So farmers are saying make it act, legal act. The farmers are not farmers are apprehending that if it is not a legal system, they'll not get MSP and they'll not get MSP because government declares MSP for crops, but has been no laws. And we have seen the how MSP fails across the India. I'll give you some of the figures. And according to new bills, farmers and traders are mercy of civil servant rather than a court, because there is a provision if there will be if there is any problem in contract, the farmers can go to DM, district magistrate, SDM, but they can't go to court. That means they are not at their mercy of civil servants and not court. And we know farmers, like in our system, court has a higher say than civil servant. It is civil servants and DM, they're more pressurized than, and court is basically the independent thing. So according to the farmers, it should make provision for the farmers that if there will be any deviation in the contract, they can approach the court and not DM. This is the element. Now coming to MSP, as I was talking about, MSP, as I said, is a form of market intervention by government of India. It is basically to ensure agriculture producer that any sharp fall in farming price. So they announce some of the minimum support price at the beginning of sowing season of crop, and it is done on the basis of recommendation of CACP, that is called Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices decides MSP. But one thing worth noting here, that this Commission for Agriculture Cost and Price is not a statutory body. It has no constitutional backing. It is appointed by the government time to time. Like last committee was appointed, led by Swaminathan, MS Swaminathan in 2008. And it gave in its report in 2008. So after that, there was no Commission for Agriculture and Cost Price. So basically MSP is fixed by Government of India to protect basically from distress. So to give some of the figures, I can say currently the MSP for paddy is 1868 rupees per quintal. For similarly for moong, it is 7196. For cotton, 5515. For wheat, 19,075. But at a ground level, because I travel across India, I can say that only 6% of the farmers sell their produce at MSP. Rest 94% they sell at lesser price. Like for paddy, MSP is 1868, but they sell at around 1,000 rupees or 1100 maximum. Similarly for moong, cotton and wheat, it is difficult to get MSP at ground level. That I can say, and there are committee reports also which say. So MSP was first introduced in the year of 1967. It was first introduced in 1967. That time it was called statutory minimum price. The name was SMP, not MSP. Statutory minimum price. Later in 1970, it was renamed to MSP. But I am of the opinion that it should be called statutory minimum price, not minimum support price. Because if you are saying it is statutory minimum price, then you are giving constitutional backing to MSP. But if you are saying minimum support price, you are not giving constitutional backing. So if you see the evolution MSP, it gradually evolved. First, there was a concept of minimum support price, then procurement price, then it changed. Like four price changed. There was different system of pricing for kharif products, crops and rabi crops. Then two officials later did some study on FCI and they come up with some report. Wheat was discontinued in 1969. Again it came in 1975-6. So there was a lot of evolution of MSP. Now, while this Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices (CACP) decides MSP that takes into account following factors. First is cost of production, then changes in input prices, input-output price parity, trends in the market prices, demand and supply, intercrop price parity, then its impact on industrial cost structure, impact on cost of living, like it is a remunerative or not, impact on general price level, like consumer price index and wholesale price index. It is if it is growing, then MSP should grow so that it can do the parity between price paid and price received by the farmers. Basically, it gives remunerative price for the farmers, and it has impact on price issues and subsidy also. Then Commission also takes micro level data from district, state, country regarding the cost of cultivation per hectares, cost of production in quintal, prices, markets, commodities, supply related information like area yield production, import, export, all this, and demand related information, and also price in the international market, because India is a signatory to WTO. It has to take into that also. Then cost of processing agriculture produce, cost of marketing, what is cost for storage, transportation, processing, marketing, taxes, margin, and macroeconomic variable, as I said, WPI, consumer price index, all this. Because all this at a macro level will see also what should be the price at a monetary and fiscal factors. Then based on the Swaminathan committee report, according to government, I'm saying, they have increased the kharif products but 1.5 times, and MSP was announced in 1819, 1.5. And during 1819 budget, they have said they have, as per the MS Swaminathan committee report, they have given 1.5 times of cost of production. Point worth noting here is CSCP has 3 formulas for cost of production. Same CSCP can calculate cost of production in 3 manners. The first one is A2, second is A2 plus FL, the third is C2. Don't go into the jargons. I'll simplify it. A2 basically covers all the expenses like seeds, fertilizer, everything. So if you are given A2, you are only given the cost of raw material. You are not given the farm labor. So A2 plus FL is needed because farm labor covers family labor. If family labor is not given, then the cost of production will not show the real picture. So government has adopted A2 plus FL, but Swaminathan committee said it should be C2. C2 plus 50. C2 includes A2 plus FL plus things like interest foregone on own land and fixed capital aspect. So C2 is broader concept than A2 FL. So Swaminathan committee and a lot of economists say that government should give C2, but currently the government is giving A2 plus FL. And if you ask me personally, I'll also say the government should give C2, not A2 plus FL, because C2 covers all the aspects. Similarly, MSP, latest MSP was given for 22 crops and 22 crops and fair and remunerative price for sugarcane. So total will be 23. So mandated crops in 14 like Kharif season, 14 crops, 6 in Rabi season, and 2 commercial crops. So the list you can see that is on your screen. It is mostly cereals are covered, pulses, oilseed, raw cotton, raw jute, copra, sugarcane, and Virginia flu, cured tobacco. All this is part of the MSP system. But as I said, I travel across the country. I have met thousands of farmers. I can say at grassroots level, only paddy and wheat gets MSP. Rest 21 crops don't get MSP. This is the fact, and this is given by one committee report also. And as I was saying, you can see the growth of MSP over the year. Core cereals, paddy, and wheat, because these 3 are given MSP at ground level. Though it is said 23 crops, but actually at grassroots level, paddy, wheat, and core cereals get MSP. And you can see from 1984 till 2000, it is a slow growth in MSP price. And if you compare it with like salary of the people, I have made a comparison of increase in salary of the people vis-a-vis increase in MSP. From I guess from 1960s, because MSP was implemented in 1967. From 1967 till now, farmer MSP food grain prices increased only 19 times. Only 19 times. But at the same time, you can see that there is 180% increase in the salary. Like CPI salary increased 180%, but only MSP was increased only 19%. So there is a gross disparity between farmers' income and others' income. On an average, I can say today, at the present date, we can say on an average, the income of a farmer in our country is grossly about 85,000 per annum. That translates out around 88,500. So our farmers' income per month is 8,500 only across India. There are some states like Punjab, it is 2 lakh, but it is for less number of farmers. So our government act, like our normal minimum wage act, says that any workers minimum wage should be 19,000. So farmers are getting half of mandatory minimum wage. So that is a point of concern. That's why MSP needs to be guaranteed, because it will ensure remunerative prices to all farmers, not 6% farmers at present level. So as I was pointing to the findings of Santa Kumar committee report, Santa Kumar committee was given the mandate to study this MSP and its implementation, and it has come up with a report in 2015. As per the report, as I said, only 6% of the farmers get MSP. That too, that 6%, Punjab and Haryana constitutes most farmers who get MSP. Around 93% of the Punjab farmers get MSP. 89% of the Haryana farmers get MSP. Other farmers generally don't get. So it is tilted towards Punjab and Haryana farmers, and that is one of the reasons why Punjab and Haryana farmers are leading this protest, because they are thinking if MSP will go, they will be at loss because they sell at MSP only. And as per the Santa Kumar committee report, it has recommended revisiting MSP policy because only 6% is getting. And MSP, as per their recommendation, government should focus on MSP pulses and oilseed. They're not getting. And MSP is skewed only on, as I said, wheat and rice. Only wheat and rice is getting MSP at grassroots level. Rest 21 commodities are neglected. As I said, salary of government employees increased 150 times or 180% during this period, 1996 to 2020, but MSP increased only 19 times. So it is high time. Now, another committee report that is a international study by Ikraria OECD. Ikraria OECD study on agriculture policies in India 2018 said that due to farmers are getting minus 14% gross farm receipts, means they're losing whatever they're doing. What it implies that Indian farmers have been implicitly taxed through restrictive marketing and trade policies, means they're undergoing losses. If we calculate these losses, if they losses because they're selling their produce not at MSP, they're selling produce at any price that is demanding, because farmers have no control about their produce. They don't have storage facility. We know we don't have storage facilities at ground level. So whatever they are producing, they have to sell. And perishable commodities like vegetables or fruits, they have shelf life, zero shelf life. You have to sell on that day. So they're selling whatever they can. We have seen that they are selling onions, tomatoes, all these at 50 paise per kg. But that onion, tomato, we buy across India at 100 rupees per kg. So who is benefiting? Middleman is benefiting. Different layers of middlemen are benefiting at the cost of farmers. So if they're not selling at MSP, they're going at loss. So consecutively for 17 years, it has calculated this comes around 45 trillion loss. That is 45 lakh crore. That is around 5% loss of GDP. You can understand the extent of farmers' crisis. If they sell at MSP, it would have been 45 lakh crore injection into the Indian economy. That means farmers have lost 45 lakh crore during this only 17 years, I am telling, 2017 to 18. Forget about 1960s to 2000, it will be more. So, and this is one of the highest in the world. No country has, no farmers in the country get loss. To give you a global perspective, you will be surprised to know in US, average farmer get 42 lakh subsidy. 42 lakh subsidy per year in US. But in India, a farmer get only 15,674. 15,674 if Indian farmer gets subsidy. But in case of US, it is 42 lakhs. In case of Germany, it is 31 lakhs. In case of UAE, European Union, it is 25 lakhs. So if you say any advanced country like US, UK, Europe, Japan, the subsidy is more than $100 billion. But in India, it is subsidy is only 1,500, 15,674. That is only 10% what farmers gets. So that needs to be changed. So overall, as I was suggesting, this is the loss. And now, what is the way out? I can say based on the data, facts and figures, current reality, reports of different agriculture expert committees, the Santa Kumar committee report, ICRA OECD report, then our Swaminathan committee report. What we can understand, one thing is clearly that our agriculture market laws are very old, traditional, that needs to be changed. That I agree completely. And it should reform the agriculture market. It should make a structured and stable income policy. Farmers should get some stable income policy. There should be the price of all the crops, not only wheat and pulse, wheat or paddy. Price of all crops should be fixed. So there will be prediction of price, and farmers will be assured of any remunerative prices. So according to all this, as per my understanding, I'll recommend that MSP should be legally guaranteed. It should be made as an act as farmers are demanding. Because if you will mandate MSP as an act, private farmers will also buy. The logic of MSP not being act, government is giving that if one figure was floating in the market that if MSP is legally guaranteed, government will suffer 17 lakh crore loss. It was floated in the market. If government will buy at MSP price, it will be lost to exchequer to the tune of 17 lakh crore. And if government will buy at MSP, it will be inflationary in nature. But I'll not agree with that point because only 6% is brought by MSP, by FCI Godown. Rest is bought by private farmers or private contractors. So if MSP is legally guaranteed, the first price or the selling price from which the bargaining will start will be MSP. So the farmers will be ensured that they will at least get MSP. So I'll be of the opinion that MSP should be legally guaranteed as an act. That is a genuine demand of the farmers and it should be done. And adding to that, there should be constitutional status to Commission of Agriculture and Cost and Prices. If there will be constitutional status to Commission of Agriculture and Prices, whatever recommendation the commission is giving will be mandatory on the government. Like Swaminathan committee had suggested for C2 plus 50, but government has changed it to A2 plus FL because Swaminathan committee is not constitutional. If otherwise, if Swaminathan committee would have been constitutional, then it has the chance of negotiation. Like our finance commission. Finance commission is constitutional body. So whatever finance commission says, government may disagree. It can move to legislation in parliament. But that will be difficult. If there will be constitutional backing to the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, it will have positive impact on the laws. And as I said, future of Indian agriculture, it heavily relies on creation of infrastructure at grassroots level, be it irrigation, cold storage plant, post-harvesting infrastructure, marketing infrastructure, standardization infrastructure. All these are missing at grassroots level. That has to be focus of the government. Infrastructure for agriculture is the most focus points of the government. It should be focus point of government, private, everyone, because it has large implication on national economy. If infrastructure will be developed, all these bottlenecks will be developed. There will be no farmers distress. There will be no loss of life. And adding to that, agriculture is a complex subject. So any one policy solution will not add. It has to be a series of policy solution, and it has to be supplemented and complemented by lots of reforms like this. Focus and it should focus on agriculture value chain. As I said, agriculture value chain basically leads to removal of intermediaries or middlemen. It connects directly the farmer to the consumer, farm to the plate. If the consumer can supply the products from his or her farm to the farmer's plate through e-commerce or any uh, process, then the price, whatever they get, will be remunerative. It will be win-win situation for both. As I said, it will be win-win situation for both if there will be agriculture value chain, and agriculture should be linked to industry and service sector with forward and backward linkage. Forward and backward linkage basically means like agriculture should depend on industry, and industry will also depend on agriculture. Similarly with service sector, like agro processing farms, food production, food processing plants. If you give focus on agro processing plant, food processing plants, so then the number of rural employment, like now rural employment is stagnant. We know there is a 45 years highest unemployment rate now. It's so the solution to that will be creating jobs at farm level with involving industry and service sector. So forward backward linkages with those industry and service sector will solve the unemployment and distress problem, and it will also solve the distress migration. People will not migrate to cities for job if they'll get a job at their farm level. That can be done by investing in infrastructure at that grassroots level. Then that will address certainly the rural distress among the farmers, and life of living will be life of our farmers, our annadata will be better. Then ensuring financial access of farmers. Generally, institutional credit to the farmers has not reached yet. There is no guarantee. Government is giving credit guarantee, but farmers at grassroots level is not getting institutional credit. Only 2% of the farmers would get institutional credit. Rest 98% depend on money lenders who charge exorbitant rate of interest. So that leads to agriculture distress, suicide, everything. So ensuring farmers access to financial access, credit access at the time will solve this distress problem. So overall, it should start with legal guarantee of MSP, constitutional status of agriculture commission of prices, cost and prices, then infrastructure, agriculture value chain, forward linking, backward linking. All these will lead to future of Indian agriculture. If you want our farmers to be prosperous, if our want our Indian economy to be prosperous, it has to link Indian agriculture with industry and service sector. Then only the reap of true globalization can be found. Right now, it is not linked to industry and service sector. So focus should be done through agriculture value chain. So overall, this is a very, I always refer this quote. As I said, agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. All our economies dependent heavily on agriculture. Many state economies, I come from Odisha. In our Odisha, the agriculture content is around 70%. So many economies like Odisha, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, in Punjab, Haryana, agriculture plays predominant role. It is the backbone of any state and overall Indian economy. So if agriculture fails, everything else will fail because it has percolating effect on other sector. If agriculture grows, everything will grow because it has positive impact on economy. So first and foremost, we should agree. We should discuss with the farmers, and we should uh, do some amicable solution in terms of legal backing of MSP and CSCP, and we should involve with dialogue with all the farmers who are protesting. Remember, there are we eat our food because of them. If we neglect them, it will be really difficult to handle. So there should be some way out between uh, 45, 41 union, farmer unions and the government of India. Dialogue should continue. I believe there should be continuous dialogue, not haphazard manner. There should be continuous dialogue. At the same time, government should agree to the MSP legal guarantee and CSP. At the same time, farmers should also understand these reforms are needed. Whatever policy changes can be done, they should be done. But um, both, I'll say, both farmers and agriculture ministry, that through government of India, both should take some steps towards mutual discourse, and there should be way out. The way out, I guess, sees MSP. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If you have any question on any point, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much. Hello.
Sir, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. Sir,
Welcome.
there are few questions which I'm taking, sir. The very first
Yes.
question, I request to the participant, write down the question in the chat box. The very first question is, Swaminathan Ayogya was not accepted by government for the benefit of farmers till date. Why?
Correct. Yes, as I said, I agree with the point. Your point. Swaminathan committee report, in its full spirit, is not accepted by government, and I am personally of the opinion that farmer Swaminathan committee recommendation, there was 145 recommendation by Swaminathan committee report. If you are anyone of interested, you can write me mail. I'll send you the report and uh, their recommendation. So 145 uh, recommendation, they were not accepted as it is by the government. Though government of India is saying that they have accepted Swaminathan committee report. And one more thing is there. Swaminathan committee report was submitted in 2018. There was no movement in Swaminathan committee report from 2018 to 2014. So 6 years there is no movement on MS Swaminathan committee report. After 2014, government took some state. This is also a point. But as I said, I agree with your kin, artist spirit, as it says A2 plus FL. So I agree with that. And I also personally believe it should be C2, not A2 plus FL.
Sir, another question is, if agriculture is subject to states, then why center is so rigid about new agriculture law?
Valid point. Valid point. As I said, in our constitutional structure, agriculture falls in state subject, not in union list or concurrent list. But only the point, as I said, government of India is rigid implementing these laws because it has given model act in 2003, as I said. APMC Model Act 2003, but no state has implemented this for last 18 years. Only Arunachal Pradesh is one only state that has implemented this act till now. So it has become border like compulsion the government to act on it. So that we can discuss like the legality of the acts, because some of the state have already uh, drawn legislation against this act, like Kerala government, then Punjab government, all this Rajasthan government, they have implemented state legislation against these laws. But I am of the opinion that if there is some good law through center, that should go through.
Sir, one last question. If MSP is granted, will market price of the commodities increase?
No, no. If MSP is guaranteed, market price will not increase, because MSP is calculated. As I said, I have outlined the formula. MSP takes into account only the raw material, labor cost, and some the investment of the farmer. So that the MSP literally covers whatever cost is borne by the farmers. It is not adding extra cost. So it is not supernormal profit. In economics, if we charge some extra profit, we call it supernormal profit. MSP, I can say, is a normal profit. What any farmer should get. So if MSP charged, it will be normal profit. So generally normal profit generally doesn't distort the market. So there will be no implication of MSP on inflation, because only MSP is there. Only point of concern is that because it is not constitutionally and legally mandated, only 6% farmers are getting MSP. Rest 94 farmers are not getting. If you convert that to an act, then more farmers will get the benefit of MSP, and it will not certainly distort the market.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot for answering all the queries and taking out the time on such short notice, sir. Thanks a lot for your wonderful insight towards the topic, the farm bills, because this one is the topic on which everyone wants to be like know new facts and things, how the things are going on. I'm sure that after having this session, the doubts of many of our participants has been cleared. So thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Pleasure interacting with you all. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Completely
Pradeep,
my pleasure.
It is wonderful session.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And your hard work is shown by all your this slides. And all these slides show that you have done so much hard work for us. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Completely my pleasure. I always love interacting with the
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
There is a small request or the announcement to the participants. So, participants, please wait us for a few minutes. There is a small announcement to be made. We are going to sharing two links. One is for the certificate details with which you want your certificate. The details you need to mention in that form, because we are taking the details from there only. No change will be made once you fill the form. Second thing, one form for the details is also going to be floated, which need to be filled by tomorrow itself. Second thing, in case you still not filled the quiz and all, we are opening the links for today and today only. Today will be the last date. After that, you won't be able to fill any feedback and quiz of the previous session. The feedback form for both the session is going to be floated in the Telegram group. Kindly fill the both of the feedback forms, and the quiz will be shared soon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear participants. And today's both the sessions, as you have seen, are excellent. And Pradeep sir has put his best in preparing the slides. So please fill the feedback form and the quiz form. And today is the last date for filling the previous sessions quiz and Google form for the feedback form. To fill for these previous days, and whatever information you are sharing in the link for your certificate, that will be given and no change after that. So please be careful, and if you have any query, then do give us call. We are a call away from you, and you can discuss in the discussion forum. Thank you for today. Stay safe, stay blessed, and enjoy the day. Thank you so much.